Good morning, everyone. 8 o'clock. Let's get started. We have before us the agenda, and first on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our August 28th workshop, and then the September 11th special meeting. Can we approve those together? Okay. Do I have a motion for approval? Prakash, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dean? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Before us, we have the Renaissance Zone Development Plan, and that's some of what we worked on that August 28th workshop. I don't know if everyone knows all the history of the Renaissance Zone, but in 1999, we were approved for a 15-year plan, and we've been doing 5-year extensions since that. And this year, we're due for another extension, which will carry us through to 2029. So I'm going to turn it over to Nicole and Megan. They're our tag team today.
We are. Thank you. Good morning, Renaissance Zone Authority. I'm Megan Elshog with the Planning Department and Nicole Crutchfield, our Planning Director. We're very excited to be in front of you this morning. So we're going to kind of recap the work that your board and staff has been doing for the last couple of months. If there's any questions at any time, feel free to interrupt me for any clarity that you might need. So starting several months ago, staff and your board started working on the Renaissance Zone Development Plan update, as Chair noted. As part of keeping the Renaissance Zone, updates are required. So today we'll talk a little bit about that process, what community outreach has occurred, what changes there are to the plan itself, and then what is to come next. So as Chair noted, original approval in 1999. There's been 5-year extensions in 2014 and 2019. The approval of this plan is required to keep the zone, and there's also support needed from the Fargo Public School District as well as Cass County. So a little bit about that, the approach here for the update started in July and August. In August was the workshop. We're here before you today in October for a review of the final draft of the plan, and we'll continue on with those next steps for review and approval by the other boards. For community outreach, we did have the workshop, which was a publicly noticed item. We did send a boundary-wide letter to all the property owners within the boundary for the public open house, which was in September. We did notice that publicly, invited the community to attend, as well as your board, the Economic Development Incentives Board, and the City Commission to attend that. We also did direct invites to the DCP, Downtown Community Partnership, DNA, which is the Downtown Neighborhood Association, as well as direct emails to developers and recent applicants to invite them to attend or to meet one-on-one with staff if they weren't able to attend that open house. So at the workshop, there were several topics that were discussed that's outlined in the memo in your packet. So if you have questions on that, let me know. But one of the overarching items was to kind of hang tight or not change too much right now based on findings of the recently approved growth plan, which Nicole will talk about here shortly. So I'm just going to go over briefly updates to the plan itself. And if there's any questions, I also have the plan available if we want to pull that up. But primarily the updates included general housekeeping items, so updating of years, making sure all of our links were up to date, project information, so quantities and values that we'll talk about here shortly. The boundary does have a proposed modification, which currently the boundary has 47 of the 49 permitted blocks allotted. So we're recommending adding blocks 58 and 59, so we would be at that 49 block cap. Updates to data sets of values, and then development that has happened in the last 5 years, as well as the development strategy related to that. And then moved the historical boundary information and legislative summary to the appendix. Those are not things that are required as part of the plan, so we just kind of moved those to the back of the plan. There's also a request for a 5-year extension, as Chair noted, to go through 2029. So project information, there's been 294 completed projects. You'll probably note that we're kind of in the 360s as far as project numbers go, but there's been 294 completed projects between new construction, purchase with improvements, The highest is residential purchase at 118, and then rehab and then lease projects. So in 1999, the Renaissance zone value was about 197 million, and in 2024, it's about 970 million. So you can see the increase in the value of the zone. So up on your screen is the boundary map, and then in the red circles is block 58 and 59. So at the workshop in August, we had discussed that the northeast portion of downtown and west along First Avenue are kind of areas we see as having change now and into the future. And so we've assigned blocks 58 and 59 for a total of 49 blocks. There are several blocks that are identified as half blocks. Those include the hatch in blue. Those are not changing, just the addition of the 2 blocks. So to complete this plan, we're here before you today asking for a recommendation to the City Commission of approval. We'll go forward to the school district and Cass County in November, and then to the City Commission in December to have an agreement executed with the state in December by the end of the year. And then I'm going to hand it over to Nicole for the next few slides. Thank you.
So one of the reasons we wanted to, staff had the recommendation to kind of hold the baseline is because of our recent growth plan work. And so we talked a little bit about that at the workshop. I think for those who weren't able to attend the workshop, the growth plan and the findings of that, we just walked through those items. And one of the findings of the growth plan work is the need to rewrite the land development code. And with that, the need to look at incentives as a whole as an economic development tool. And when we look at everything from special assessments to other incentives like TIFs and pilots, and the Renaissance zone, you know, when you look at those as a whole to obtain the highest and best use or the most optimal development, we've got the vision now set with the growth plan. Now it's about how to codify that and put those regulatory elements and also enhance those tools as need be. And so we were able to just recently, 2 weeks ago, approve a land development code contract. Basically, we were able to extend our current contract with CZB. CZB was the team that did the growth plan, and which was really great that we were able to get the Planning Commission and City Commission support on that, so we can just go right into further crunching our data and further doing outreach. And so right now we're working on our community engagement strategy and timeline. We'll have an update for you about that in probably in December, mid-December. And then we are, it says completion is intended by mid-2026, but I would say by mid-2025, we would have those preliminary recommendations based on that. So we will work on including you as close stakeholders and involved participants in the land development code incentive work, along with the EDIC and our planning commission as part of that process. We wanted to look at this holistically as it relates to the Renaissance zone and everything else. We do know there's outstanding items that have maybe caused deeper conversation with the Renaissance zone and applicants recently as we look at the point scoring system and other things. So that's the what we're foreseeing in the future. So just because we're asking for this update today, it's really, we see this as a placeholder to meet the minimum requirements for the state to proceed on to the next stage. And we believe we'll be working with you closely in 2025, or we seek your the opportunity to work with you closely in 2025 to look at a holistic review of economic tools, and then look at our data system and robust history. And then there's a few blocks that we assume will be within the boundary itself that we'll be completing, and then really look at that scoring and application processing so that we're in predictable communication, if you will, with the board, applicants, and implementing the Downtown in Focus plan and our other long-range planning efforts.
Okay. Just a comment, thank you to City Commission and Planning Commission for allowing us to continue working with CZB, and they were an impressive group on that development plan. I do have one question. You were talking about number of projects completed, and I know this was asked, but please remind me, is there a deadline, a time frame for completion?
Currently, there is no deadline for completion, and there is a range. And so the way the process goes is, the application goes to your board, onto the city commission, and then onto the state, who grants conditional approval that gives them kind of the green light to construct the project. And so there's a range of time of construction that can be a couple months down. When it comes to leases, those are typically a matter of days or weeks, all the way to, Block 9 was a multi-year project. And so there is a range. And then once completion of the project occurs, staff verifies the project, and then final completion occurs. And then that's when the benefit begins. And so there is a range between, if that helps answer the question, but there is a range between how long projects take.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the group or further comments? Got a good group here. You must have explained well.
Or it's early.
And yes, we do understand that this is just kind of a holding spot so that we can add to it as we progress in the next few years. If there are no further comments or questions, Mayor?
Just a question on the 5-year, 8-year Renaissance zone. Is that incorporated in our policy, or how does that work?
Do you want me to take it?
I can go ahead unless you'd like. That's a great question, Mayor. Earlier this year, we did have a request go forward to the Renaissance Zone Authority, and making that change does need support from the school district and the county as well. That was not supported earlier this year by the county. And so today we're not recommending a change to the 8-year. Right now we're recommending to keep the 5-year until we can go through all of the work that Nicole had stated, until we can get more of that data and look at those incentives holistically before bringing that back to the schools and to the county.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Anything further? If not, do we have a motion for recommendation or approval?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Dean Brashani.
Second.
Second by Chad Peterson. Any further discussion? If none, roll call vote, please.
Pipcorn,
Aye.
Madell,
Aye.
Matthew, Larson,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Mahoney,
Yes.
Brashani,
Yes.
Matter.
Yes. Motion carries. On to the next. Is there any further business to come before the Renaissance Zone Authority? If none, I think we did record time here. We will adjourn, and our next meeting is scheduled for November 27th. Do we have any projects pending that you're aware of?
Applications or
Applications, I'm sorry.
I haven't received any applications right now, but there may be applications for a November meeting. Right now, that is the Wednesday before the holiday, before Thanksgiving. So it's not been typically an issue in the past, but if you do know you won't make it, let us know so that we can plan accordingly, and if we need to reschedule the meeting for a quorum.
Okay,
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.